welcome to the Obscure Animation Podcast. This is the podcast where every month we try to talk about an underappreciated, a small, an independent, a underrated, whatever we feel like talking about, we talk about. And so I'm very excited. We have a holiday-themed episode today. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and my friend Stanford is here.
Hi, Rachel.
Yes. So last month where we had all those hard French names, now we have all these hard Russian
names. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to.
Yeah. Like, why do I do this to myself?
Talk about these names.
So how have you been? You've been enjoying the holidays?
Holidays have been great. Yes. How about for you?
Very busy, but great. Yeah. A lot of fun. I got to be on, it was kind of had sort of a landmark event, I guess, last week where I got to be on Rob Has a Podcast, which is the podcast. Which is the podcast that first inspired me to start podcasting myself. I love Rob, who hosts the podcast, and we talked about this silly Christmas movie, and we had a great time. And so that was very, very cool for me.
That's so cool. Yeah. Kudos to you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, you'll have to. I'll put a link if anybody wants to listen to it. You should definitely go check it out.
Excellent. I want to check it out for sure.
Yeah. And you don't have to watch the movie to have fun with the podcast. That's true. I think I tried at least for all the Hallmarky stuff I do. I try to make it something where you can still have fun even if you haven't watched the movies. But it was great. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of fun, and also a bunch of screenings, and there's just hardly enough time in the day.
Yes. It's a busy season, isn't it? And yeah.
So I was trying to think of what we could do for December for Obscure Animation, and I didn't want to do a Rankin Bass because I'm not the biggest fan of theirs. They have a couple that are good, but most of I don't know, we'd already done one of those
and
together.
We've done one, yes.
Yeah, and so I was trying to think of what might be fun, and I don't know. It's tough. I thought about doing Arthur Christmas, but I've already reviewed that on my channel, and so I was trying to think of something unique and interesting. And I don't know how obscure really that is. It's underrated, so we could do it. But anyway, I was just looking and looking and looking, and I stumbled upon this version of the Nutcracker from 1973. This is a Soviet-Russian animated film, and so I'm really excited to talk about it and also to talk about Soviet animation, because it was very interesting to me to learn all about it, because I knew nothing at all before watching this. So it was fun for me to do that. And so, yeah, we're talking about the Nutcracker, 1973, and forgive me about the names, please. But
yes, you and me both. I know. Like, sorry, everybody.
Yeah,
we're going to try. But
so this is really interesting to me because we all know about the ballet of the Nutcracker, but I have to admit I didn't even know that there was a book.
Yes, yes, it's a short story by the author E.T.A. Hoffman.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, and I never read it. I want to read it. I say I need after seeing this, I thought I really should read this one of these times.
It's and this is just a short film. I think it's 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's 25 minutes. You're right.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's based on the ballet by Tchaikovsky, and then the book The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by E.T.A. Hoffman, like you said. And has the music of Tchaikovsky.
The music from Tchaikovsky. And it was interesting to learn, because as I was watching it, of course, some of it I definitely recognized from the Nutcracker. And then other pieces I was wondering, where did that come from? And so doing the research, as you probably saw too, that some of the music they pulled from some other Tchaikovsky pieces, from Swan Lake and also from The Sleeping Beauty, too.
Right. Yeah, which was interesting. And I thought it was very impressive, like how much story and also animation and music and everything that they packed into this.
Yeah.
Into the short.
Yeah, it was specific, and no dialogue.
Right. Yeah. There's like some partying. You hear some sound effects a little
Yeah,
bit,
they
but
added sound effects and different things, and almost like a. It kind of reminded me in a way like a Charlie Brown teacher kind of thing. Didn't some of the characters kind of
yeah,
almost like mumble? They were making noises
yeah.
that could be so they're talking, but we don't really know what they're saying.
So
We figured it out because
yeah,
it's through the actions of the characters, but
yeah. I mean, and it's the same way when you're watching a ballet.
absolutely, yeah,
There's no dialogue,
no
so it makes
dialogue.
sense. But what was your overall thoughts? Did you like it?
Oh, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Part of it was I felt like I had opened up a whole new world because I'm with you. I don't think I've ever seen any animation from Russia slash this, back in the day when it was the Soviet Union as it was in 1973 when this was made, and it just got my mind racing, thinking, wow. I mean, like, what did the little kids in the Soviet Union, what did they watch? Did they have like Christmas TV specials like we we had with in our childhoods or so all that, and then not to mention just like what is the Russian animation scene like? Is some of it still going on today? This particular studio, and I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's like the Soyuz Multifilm or Multfilm,
Right, something like that. Yeah.
It's still in existence. I found them. I found links to they've got some social media accounts, so I started following them. I was like, well, this might be interesting to try to learn.
Oh, they do?
More.
That's
They
interesting.
do.
I didn't look at that.
Yeah, they've got a YouTube channel, and they've got they're on Instagram, and I think they might be on Twitter too.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they're still in existence. They've made over 1,500 films total, which is amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of course, they're not including shorts and stuff, but still, Disney's just made their 57th film, so 1,500 is a lot.
That's a lot.
And
so it was, for me, it was fascinating, and I think there was a lot of artistic merit to it as well. It has such a unique style, I thought, and so yeah, I'm really excited to explore it a bit with you. What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. I thought that they did such an interesting job with characters, and the thing that I sometimes don't love about Rankin Bass is I feel like a lot of times it's trying to be sort of weird in a really self-conscious way. That they'll have characters that are like zany and all weird, and I just know, like when I started, because for a while one year, it's just like 2015, I think I was doing a Rankin Bass marathon, and they do not hold up on that kind of a marathon sort of viewing for me. I was just like, they all felt like they were trying too hard, to be sort of zany, and I think Rudolph is fine. It's good. I think that the Santa Claus, the Year Without Santa Claus, the one that we reviewed.
Yes.
That one's pretty good. I like Nestor the Long-Eared Donkey just because it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just kind of, they're trying too hard. And so they get kind of tiresome for me. And so this felt to me that it wasn't like, there were a few little weird parts about it, but for the most part, it was just trying to tell a sweet, authentic story.
Yeah.
And I really liked the character designs. I thought that there was a lot of emotion, and I really liked the lighting, the way that they used the lighting in the short. And we didn't have the best version watching on YouTube.
Right. It was not a really pristine copy of it. But still, I think we were able to get the point, of it, and to be able to enjoy much of it.
Yeah. So this was directed by a man named Boris Stepanatsev.
Nicely done.
And what was interesting about him is that he was very inspired by Fantasia. And of course, Fantasia has a whole suite with the Nutcracker in it. And there were definitely certain scenes, like the whole scene where she's kind of dancing with the mop.
Yeah.
that
That
obviously is very
it's
Fantasia.
Sorcerer's Apprentice. You know, that I
Yeah,
thought how they animated the mob, just
yeah.
walking.
Hmm.
This was clearly, I thought, very derivative of Fantasia, but I don't mean that critically.
Yeah,
I just
no.
think, yeah, it's
It
just,
was an homage, I think. And
yeah,
I thought this was interesting. I didn't know that Annecy, the Annecy Animation Festival, that it goes that far back.
I know that was interesting to know because he was the president
Hmm.
of that ASIFA or whatever you call
Yeah.
that that
And
organization for
yeah,
international animation.
and I guess when he first started, he was a lot more into his sort of goal was sort of Tex Avery, like
Yeah,
animation's very very humorous, very over the top kind of a thing. But he said it said in what I read that he got tired of quizzery, which is like uh, which means mockery, teasing, or playing pranks. Got tired of that, and so then he went into this other kind of phase of his directing where he was looking for looking more towards music to inspire his films. And I guess there's a musician named uh, Prokofiev, that
Prokofiev.
Prokus, yeah, I don't know how to say
If we're
it.
if we're looking at the right one,
Yeah, yeah, and that
Sergei Prokofiev is who I think you
Prokofiev,
mean.
very good. You
Okay.
nailed it. Said that is there was drawing what should happen on screen by itself, defining characters' smallest gestures. Its dramaturgy was more logical, clearer than many far-fetched plot twists. And they said that while filming the Nutcracker, he and cinematographer Jan Topper used trick photography, and that he's described the work on it as non-stop torture. So yeah, how did you say it?
Prokofiev. If again,
Prokofiev.
if we're talking about the same person.
He handled the music, I think, on this movie. And then yeah, this Jan Topper. And so they were trying to do a whole bunch of different techniques to try to kind of engage you into the characters. Like I said, the smallest gestures uh, would help draw you in to the story. And so evidently it was quite a difficult little 27-minute film to make. And I really liked how it started out. It was almost like the mice were kind of, they really felt like mice, but also kind of like the Christmas lights at the same time. The way they did the lighting was really cool, I thought.
Yes, I thought so too. I thought that was such a unique way of opening the film. With
Yeah.
the mice, and it's almost like they were using. Were they using a? I mean, I know it was Christmas lights, but it almost looked like a flashlight, kind of. I mean, the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
it almost had like an ink blot kind of a look to it. It
yes,
was really cool.
it was cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Instantly, I thought, wow, we're in for something different, and it made me so happy.
And it was, I assume it was using traditional cell
That was
animation back in
Yeah,
1973,
1973. That was my guess too. I
and
think that
probably
they
some
were,
Xerox
yeah,
method.
some Xerox, and then clearly some other kind of special effects,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in that very final sequence with the Christmas tree. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know we'll get there. I don't want to give it away,
Yeah.
but I looked like to me like they were employing some really funky film techniques
Yeah.
for
Just the
that.
way that flashlight kind of moved around. It just, the lighting was so clear and pretty, and it was really cool. And so you get into the party and you find out that the lead character is usually sort of Clara in our version of the
The one that
Nutcracker.
we're all so familiar with.
Yeah, but in this case, she's a young girl who's a maid, and I loved
Yes.
the design of the young girl. I thought she was so, had such pretty eyes, and that's the other thing about Rankin Bass is there's so many. A lot of it kind of feels cheap. That you're just like, oh come on, don't make the eyes like that. Don't make the, like. Whereas
Yeah.
this, it feels like not cheap.
Yeah, I agree. And instantly sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and I just thought I agree. I thought she was really a nicely done character. She kind of reminded me, in a way, of like a Chuck Jones
Mm-hmm.
style of character, you know,
Yeah.
almost
No,
like,
it's true. It does kind of feel a little bit like, I mean, maybe that's with that Tex Avery influence that he had
yeah,
to start out with, because yeah, it definitely, like when we reviewed um that Bugs Bunny movie,
yeah.
you could definitely see some of just in the sketchiness and the style
Hmm.
that it had a little bit, and in some of the package films too of Disney, they have that sort of a little bit of that feel to it
Yeah.
as well, I'd say. And so then we find out that the maid kisses the hurt Nutcracker that was hurt from the mice, and then he comes to life and he starts to tell her his story, and then the party gets interrupted by this three-headed mouse queen. And what did you think about the mouse queen?
So I thought that the reveal was interesting initially because you're not sure if it's three. It looks to me like it's gonna be three mice, you know, or it looked to be, and then turns out that it's a three-headed. Uh, and honestly, that whole sequence reminded me of Disney's Sleeping Beauty,
Yes.
because you got a king and a queen and a baby, and people have been showering gifts on the baby, and then this queen shows up, and you know she's ticked, and we don't necessarily
That's a good comparison.
know why, but anyway, I just wonder if she didn't get
Yeah.
invited to the party. You
Right. Yeah, and so then the queen turns him into the Nutcracker, the
yeah,
prince.
turns the young prince into, and the Nutcracker is a cool design too, because
Mm-hmm.
it's it's Nutcracker size, a little wider. It almost kind of looks like Napoleon with
Yeah.
the with a wig kind of thing. But
And so the Mouse King is our queen was hates the Nutcracker because I think she wasn't invited, or
yeah,
what was
that's
something happened.
yeah,
They hate the Nutcracker, and they come after the Nutcracker, but this maid girl stops them, and there becomes kind of this little sort of battle scene. The Nutcracker brings all the toys to life, and there's this sort of battle between the mice and the toys, and all of that is just choreographed so well to the music that
yeah.
it's very engaging.
It is. It is. It's really engaging,
Mm-hmm.
and again, just such a unique style. It's
Mm-hmm.
it was so fresh to me,
Yeah.
even though it was not necessarily new concepts, but just a fresh telling of a
Mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah. And I'm not so aware of the music to be able to tell, okay, this is this part, this is this part, this is, this is uh the Sugar Plum Fairy Suite, this is the whatever, but definitely you were like, okay, I know this and I know
Yeah,
this and I know
yeah,
this, and it sounds familiar to me. And so that was a lot of fun, and definitely you could watch this if you don't have the funds to go see the Nutcracker. I think this would be a fun option, because we should have talked about this earlier, but there are a lot of horrible versions of the
oh,
Nutcracker
oh.
film.
In fact, it's almost like there's more bad than good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, of course, last year, the Nutcracker in the
Oof.
Four Realms.
That was bad news.
And there was one in the 90s, I think it is, 1993, the Nutcracker, which got horrible reviews. There's Nutcracker the motion picture from
Yes.
1986 that's supposedly terrible.
Terrible. Yeah.
So yeah, this would be a pretty good option, unless you just want to watch a filming of the ballet
Mm-hmm.
without any being a narrative. It's just a
Yeah.
filming. Then there's that, but this is, I think, probably the best. or
Yeah.
or you watch the short in Fantasia, the
Right.
Love.
Oh, I love that so much too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so good with
so
the
beautiful.
mushrooms and
Yeah.
the fairies and
Oh,
everything like that.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Mhm. And but I loved how they choreographed everything to the music. It flows right by, and the before the Nutcracker can be killed, the girl, she throws her wooden clog at the Mouse King, and his crown is smashed, and you actually see it kind of it's like sort of breaks the spell. It's kind of the throwing water on the witch kind of
Yes,
moment,
exactly.
and that the crown is the source of the mouse's power. So there's sort of this green smoke, and the he's sort of just like the Wicked Witch. His army is destroyed, and the clog is then turned into a fancy shoe and a glittery shoe, and the Nutcracker then turns into the prince, and he puts the girls, he puts the shoes on the girl, and she turns into a princess, and all of that I just loved. I thought it was great.
I did too. I thought it was uh, so again familiar yet just so different. And that whole thing with the clog, I thought was interesting. Was another reason. Like, I wonder if that's in that little short story. I need to read that that element to it. But and after and after there's the happy ending, there's still a bit more that goes on. That's what I was alluding to
Mm-hmm.
earlier about the special effects, where they're on a horse and they're kind of just enjoying being together and being in that Christmas tree, and
Mm-hmm.
how they have those to me, I think that they're probably representing ornaments, but they almost look like jewels. And you know
Mm-hmm.
how they were just kind of sparkling and just looking so pretty and inviting on the screen. That's where I was wondering what kind of visual tricks that they were employing, because I thought that was really quite unusual, and I just love the look of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. And I guess the final, they dance to the dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy and the waltz of the flowers, I read,
Yes.
and then it brings the king and queen back to life, and then they go into another world, and you just see the clogs and the Nutcracker shell
Yeah, just the
there.
shell, just kind of lying there under the Christmas tree, and that whole bringing back to life again was a little reminiscent to me of Disney's Sleeping Beauty. You
Mm.
know
Mhm.
how everybody kind of gets in this deep sleep. Although this one is more just focused on the king and the queen, but still,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
even Snow White as well. They ride out into the to
yeah,
the sunset, kind of a thing. And but yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was fun and magical, and so for a 25-minute short, I thought they did a great job of showing you something unique and beautiful, and that had a ton of beautiful music, ton of beautiful lighting, and it just really drew you in. And so I think it was I'm really glad that I saw it, and I think definitely people should check it out. It's easily available on YouTube to watch.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you again, Rachel, for broadening my horizons and introducing me to something really cool, that I never would have known about. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I guess this was championed by a famous ballet dancer named Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Barishnikov, yeah.
Yeah, and he introduced it in a PBS series called Stories from My Childhood, where he talked about how it had really inspired him and his dancing, and so that's kind of cool as well.
Yeah, and as I recall, Barishnikov. I mean, just as a quick side note, but he did his own TV version, if I'm not mistaken, of the Nutcracker. That was like they play it during Christmas. I think I remember it as a little kid,
Hmm.
and he was a big deal back
Yeah.
kind of like in the '70s and '80s. I don't know if he's still alive. He might be,
Let's
but
see. It says, uh, I think. Let's see, doesn't. Yeah, I think he's still alive.
Yeah, still alive. Yeah.
There we go, 71, going strong. So, yeah, and so if you're looking for something different to watch this holiday season, and don't watch any of the terrible versions of the Nutcracker, watch this one. I think you'll really enjoy it, and it was very interesting to learn about the history of the Soviet animation.
Soviet animation.
It was really cool to learn about.
I know.
They had so much variety in the kind of films that they would do. And I read about this whole crazy incident where I guess the studio had been a little on the decline, but this is in the 1980s. And I guess they split up the studio and had all the puppetry, I guess, in one branch, and evidently the Russian Orthodox Church, that there was a huge attack on the studio because people thought that the puppets were satanic.
Oh my
and
goodness.
They needed to have an exorcism, and all these satanic puppets were destroyed, and
oh wow.
And yeah, it said that on Wikipedia, it said no studio employees were allowed to come in and salvage any item, despite the presence of much expensive equipment and a whole library of puppets.
Oh my goodness. Crazy.
Yeah. So that was interesting to me. Like, wow.
Wow.
But yeah, they're still hanging in there. So way to go.
Yeah, and from the stuff that I could see on YouTube, and again, I didn't take the time to click the translate button or whatever. It was all in Russian, but it looked to me like, frankly, it was children's programming, almost like PBS Kids type of stuff. Is what it looked like to me. But I'll need to investigate further over time.
If any of you listening, if you have seen this, and I'll put a link down if people want to watch it, you can watch it. Let us know what you think, if you like it, and if you don't like it, or if you know anything about something, maybe your favorites from this whole movement. We sure would like to know. That would be really fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks so much for talking about this with me. I really appreciate it. And
we hope everybody
has a great Christmas, or whatever holiday you're celebrating. I hope you have a wonderful season. And so, Stanford, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Stanford Clark, and I also have a movie blog and podcast at moviespastandpresent.com.
Yes, definitely check it out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Going to have a lot of fun reviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then also I'm at the Hallmarkies channel for all things, the Hallmarkies podcast. Also, I'm at the Hallmarkies podcast for all things Christmas this season. So definitely make sure that you check that out. It's a lot of fun. So thanks so much. And we will talk again next month.
Yes, bye.
Okay, Merry Christmas.